Welcome back. Today is my third vlog that I'm doing, and this time we're not going to talk about writing. We're not going to talk much about fundraising. What we're going to talk about is those awkward moments when you're wanting to communicate, you're wanting to reach out, you're wanting to help other people that have been diagnosed, and you don't really know how to do that. There's been many times for me, for example, that after I was diagnosed, that I was at the gym or I was at Target or wherever, and people would want to talk to you, but you could tell it was uncomfortable. One thing to keep in mind is also very uncomfortable for the patient themselves and their family. So the first thing that I want to discuss is the family themselves, whether it be family or close friends, whoever the main caregiver is. You need to be very conscious of them and how they're doing. That's really, really important. My wife, my kids, that was very important to me that they try to continue a normal life as possible. I was very adamant that I wanted to do as much as I could on my own, which included a regular routine of taking my kids to and from school, driving myself to chemo, radiation, all of that stuff for as long as I could. And but that does put a burden on others because they're dealing with a lot as well. They're not getting to do things, or they feel guilty about doing things because you're not there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is make sure you ask them first, how are you doing today? And that last word, today, is important. I was reading something about grief and how to express yourself with people who are grieving. And not just right away, but a few weeks later, a few months later. And the key thing that kept coming up is ask them how they're doing today, because it may be a good day, but it may be a bad day, and we'll get to a little bit of that later on. But make sure you check with them and see how they're doing. They're also your best insight as to how the patient is doing. They know what works best, what they're liking now, what they're not liking now, their patterns, as far as when they're sleeping, when they're not sleeping, if they can eat at all, if they can eat, what do they like. The second thing that is important is talking to the actual patient themselves. For me, the hardest thing that I discovered later on there's a great analogy of that happened just this week. Sunday I did a mountain bike ride out in East Texas. It's 75 degrees, it's beautiful, sunny, gorgeous sunset, and I wake up Monday morning and it is freaking cold and windy and horrible. I'm not a cold weather person, but that's the way it was for 2 days around here. So in Texas, we always joke, if you don't like the weather, wait a while and tomorrow it'll be different. It's very similar to life as a cancer patient for me, that I would have such good days and such bad days, but it would also be not just how I'm feeling or doing on those days, but what works best for me. When I could eat, and especially when I started eating again, I would find foods that worked, and they would work for 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week, but by the next week, they weren't working anymore, or I was tired of them, so I had to find something else. Which is where it is helpful, as I spoke a little bit earlier, of talking to the actual caregiver or other members that are in that household together, our close friends, that's a great way to find out what is working now. What worked last Tuesday may be awesome. It may not apply anymore. I had a friend bring over a ton of ice cream, and it was great. It was great for my family, but by the time that had happened, ice cream was not my thing anymore. So keep in mind of that. Also, when you are wanting to come over and visit and whatnot, it's best to find out that, hey, what is their habits? When are they sleeping? When are they not? But sometimes you need to force that patient to go, hey, let's go sit outside. Let's go sit on the back porch. I swear one of my keys to success was vitamin D and being out in the sun and walking to the mailbox, and then walking to the end of the street, and then walking further than that, and then going out in the woods and doing that. So finding their habits, what works best for them, works great, but don't assume that what you found out 2 weeks ago still applies. This last part, to me, is the best thing, and I want to go over it. Let me get some stuff uploaded first.
Hey Kelly, we just put together a short video just to tell you how much we appreciate and love you here at CrossFit Rowlettes. We're praying for you, so here's our video.
Hey Coach Kelly, this is the 5:30 a.m. class. I just wanted to say,
Get well soon!
get well soon, Kelly.
Get well soon, Kelly! Get well, Kelly! Get well soon, Kelly!
So I received this video via text, and it was just out of the blue. And what my gym did, which is at the time was pretty much where I lived, mornings and evenings, that's where I spent my time, was the people in the gym, the owner, and several people got together, and for each class, they got a group together. They said, you know, you can beat this, you can do this, whatever. And they clipped it all together. The whole video is around 30 seconds. I still have that video. I still watch that video multiple times throughout the year. And I have since done something like that for 3 or 4 other people. And anybody that I've done that for, they have sent it to me back and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. That hit me when I wasn't expecting it. That was awesome. And they've also told me that they, like me, watch them later on when times get tough, when you're scrolling through your phone, sitting there waiting on a doctor's appointment, whatever. That works awesome. So those are a few of the awkward moments that we talked about. Of it's really awkward to talk to patients and their families because they're gonna lie. They're gonna tell you, oh, it's good, it's all right, we're doing good. But just keep poking a little bit, keep poking that bear, and dig in a little bit. And they really do want to hear you, and they want your help. They just don't want to ask for it. So be cordial to that, and just keep trying. Be there for them. Shoot them a text every now and then out of the blue and say, hey man, just thinking about you today. You got this. You're gonna kick ass. Look forward to seeing you next week. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about mountain biking, but I have to talk about this because I've been so excited about this. This weekend, I'm actually doing a mountain bike skills clinic. It is something that I've probably owed myself for years and years and years. In the 90s, when I first started mountain biking, I had 2 or 3 groups of friends that I would go ride with. We would push each other, and it was a lot of fun. I was still a little on the conservative side compared to a lot of them, but didn't have any issues. Somehow between year 2002 and 2008, I became Mr. Overly Brake Happy, and I went slow, and my main concern was I have to get to work on Monday because I have to keep working and I have to pay the bills. And that would be the excuse I would use, and it would cause me to go slow. So I am so excited to be taking this mountain bike skills clinic this weekend, so hopefully you'll get a little video stuff from that, and look forward to having some fun doing that. Y'all have a great weekend.